So to make a more or less uniform section, what I want to make sure is that this edge is actually equal to this edge, because the reason why we had such a ununiform mesh was because these two edges are not the same length. So if I try to force 20 elements here, 20 elements here, and 20 elements over here, they are all of different lengths and they won't really match in the term of getting a uniform mesh or element distribution. So what I'll do is I'll create a partition such that this edge also is the same length as this particular edge. Now we know that this edge is 50 and this edge is then 100 minus 25, which is 75. So I can remove 25 out of it so that this becomes sort of a square area. So I'll make a first partition by using a sketch, by placing a line here. And this, the distance of this partition line from that edge is going to be 25. And that becomes my first partition. Then the second partition is going to be on this surface, so I select this face for partitioning and I draw the line that I did across exactly before in this way. Then it's done and I have my final partitions. So what I need to do now is that I need to apply these meshing things again. So what I say is I want to, first of all, I want to delete all the mesh that I already imposed on the parts. So I say, okay, I want to delete the mesh seeds, they are gone. And now I want to go about making the mesh seeds again. So I'd say, okay, I want these two to have the same mesh. And of course, if this one has a certain mesh, then I want this one to have the same size as well. Right here. This one, because they are adjacent to each other. And there I say, all right, I want a number of elements to be 10, just keeping it simple. And I want these edges to have a certain mesh size, which is going to be, don't know, 20. Let's say apply, okay. So I have a certain mesh seed which is applied, and then I go about creating a mesh which now looks like this. Now see that slowly but steadily you start getting meshes which are getting slightly better than each other. So now we need to make sure that the number of elements that we are using are going to be more and more uniform, so that there is no big difference in how it's going to be set up. So what you can do is you can make sure that there is a certain ratio of elements from this edge to this edge, but also with this one, because here you have a shorter edge which has 20 elements, and then here you have a longer edge which has 20 elements, and the elements will try to stretch so that they can fit in here. So it would make sense to have a certain ratio, 50, with what length this is, and see how many elements you actually need to add to this particular side so that it becomes uniform. So as a last option, I'm going to delete the mesh, and what I would do is that I'm going to delete the mesh seed on this one. Now it's okay, I don't want something here, and assign another mesh seed to only to the adjacent edges. So I would say, okay, I want a mesh seed here and here. So you see that I'm trying different options to show you there are different possibilities of creating a mesh. Now the best way is the one that I'm not showing you now, because I would like you to try a few methods to see if you can get a really nice perfect mesh. And this makes it even worse because now I did not put any requirement on these sides. So you see, if you have to control the mesh, you would have to keep imposing the mesh seeds on different sides. I will give you the best answer after this week's practical, because I want you to try different methods. But what I would like to see is a mesh that looks somewhat like this, from this edge right up to here in a more uniform manner. All the best. Please try this. This exercise is only to do meshing, and after you've tried it a few times, I will give you the correct answer, or not the correct answer. This is also an answer, but a good way to mesh, a good solution, so that you don't have to worry about stress concentrations, where they appear, and if you have triangular elements, how to get rid of them, etc.